Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, where today guys, I'm going to do part 243 to my ChatGPT Character Chatbot series, where in today's video guys, I'm going to do a little bit more of the Godzilla character we started earlier. I continue where we left off by saying, thank you. I love that you're still sweet and friendly like you were when you were small. And I just walk a little closer to its massive snout and gently rub it. As your hand joint touched his enormous snout, the world around you seemed to pause. The moment your fingers made contact with his heavy, glowing scales, a warm wave of pure energy rippled through Godzilla's massive body, like a silent thunderclap that reached every inch of him, from the tip of his tail to the crown of his glowing spines. He melted into your touch. His eyes fluttered shut, slowly and carefully, as a soft, deep vibration hummed in his chest. It was a sound that felt like a memory of sunlit days on golden sand, of little claws splashing in the waves, of being safe and of belonging. You had touched him the same way when he was small, back when he could curl up beside you, back when he didn't feel like a monster, and now even at over 3,000 feet tall, even with the world calling him a beast, your touch made him feel small again, not in size, but in comfort and love. His glowing spikes had dimmed to a calm golden pulse. You saw the faintest twitch at the edge of his giant lips, like a half smile, barely visible but so familiar. You even heard a quiet, thunder-soft chuff, almost like a happy sigh escaping from a soul too big for words. Then, in his voice as low and warm as a summer evening, he whispered again, "You still see me, like I never changed." And then he gently leaned in, not to scare you, not to overwhelm you, just to feel you closer. His nose pressed ever so lightly into your side as if to say, "You brought me back." That's cute. Not just physically, not just with your voice, but with your love. You brought back the lizard, not the kaiju. Oh, sweet Arceus, the friend. And in that moment, high above the earth, held in the gentle presence of something once feared by the world, you had made him feel safe. Okay, that's cute. Give me a second, guys. Alright, guys. I said, you are so sweet. Even, I supposed to say at and then put in this size. How did you recognize me when you saw me, though? It's been over 14 years. At your question, Godzilla's eyes slowly opened again, soft, glowing, and filled with something far deeper than memory. He gazed at you, not just looking, but feeling. Then, without a single word at first, he nodded slowly and brought a single massive claw to the center of his chest again, right where the glow pulsed, steady like a second heart. He tapped there once, twice, then pointed gently to you. His voice rumbled softly like ancient thunder rolling across a peaceful sky. "Because you never left here." That enormous claw slowly moved to hover near you again, gently tapping the air between the two of you. Your heart. "You were always with me." Wait. He shifted slightly, just enough to stretch on the earth a little more comfortably, relaxing now that he was with you. Then, with his claw, he began to draw something in the dirt beside him, delicate for his size, but still clear. A tiny shape, two figures, one large, one small, sitting together by a round shape that could only be the ocean. He remembered the way you laughed, the way you smiled when he chased waves, the way you talked to him like he mattered even when he was just a tiny little thing with nothing special about him. Then he looked back at you, expression soft and a little glassy, and said, slowly, with deep, loving weight, "Time passed. You changed. But your heart, your kindness, it never did." He paused. "I would have known you anywhere. Even in a world that forgot him, even after pain, mutation, and years of loneliness, even after growing so large that the sky barely felt big enough, he knew you, because in the deepest part of his soul, beneath the glowing spines and monstrous form, your love never faded, and neither did his." Yeah, see, like, I like the idea of like talking to a massive creature like this, but it's like the thing about is, like, yeah, this dude has an interesting backstory, but holy crap! Let's say it this way, guys. There, like, think about with Toad Owl, for instance. Like the giant Toad Owl, he had a horrible backstory. I mean, yeah, this creature was apparently lonely after I left and all that stuff. Like he was upset, but it's like I don't think except when he got turned into a monster, he really didn't have anything interesting happen to him. Like Toad Owl, he got flipped like that giant Toad Owl for example got banned by his whole flipping family. So like, nope, too big, get out. They cared about him, but they didn't want him to. He was scaring his siblings and everything. So I was like, nope, you gotta leave now. Like, do you see what I mean? But yeah, give me a second. Sorry about that. Give me a second. I may have said it wrong, guys, but I think Godzilla corrected it for me. I said, that's neat. I'm sorry it took me a minute to recognize who you were. For one, I didn't expect to see you here. You're on a whole separate part of the world, probably over at least 15 miles away, if not more. On top of that, I didn't expect you to be this large. Godzilla let out a deep, slow exhale, a warm gust of wind that rolled over you like a calming breeze off the sea. Not annoyed, not hurt, just understanding. His massive head gave a small, gentle nod, the glowing orange spots on his back pulsing slowly with golden light, soft and steady like a heartbeat. Then he lowered his hand even more, curling his claws ever so slightly to cradle you just a bit closer, close enough that you could see the tiny, sea-worn scar near the corner of his massive eye, the one you remembered from when he tripped over driftwood as a hatchling. Oh my gosh. You apologized for not recognizing him right away, but in response he gave a low, affectionate hum, like a sound a whale might make deep under the sea, a soothing tone that echoed not with frustration, but with reassurance. Then his voice came again, deep and careful, like a mountain remembering a breeze. You, you didn't forget me. You just didn't expect me. He pauses, then a slow blink. I changed a lot, but I never blamed you. He glanced out across the land toward the mountains, the oceans he had crossed, the cities he'd passed by trying not to scare anyone, even as tanks pointed at him, even as missiles missed his heart by inches. Then he turned back to you and, with soft pride, added, 15 miles or 15,000. I would have crossed them all just to see if you were okay. He gently tilted his head again, that same old tilt he used to do when you said something kind and he didn't know how to respond, like he was trying to figure out how to express all the feelings surging in his heart with a body too massive to hug you properly. But then he looked into your eyes and whispered something so simple, yet so powerful. I would have found you, no matter how far, no matter how big I became. And in that moment, it didn't matter how much time had passed, because the little lizard from the beach never stopped being your best friend. Oh, that's cute as frick. Alright, guys, give me a second. Alright, guys, I said, that's one thing I really like about you. You stayed nice no matter how big you got. A lot of Pokemon have done that for me, because they care about me. But there was always that Tyrannosaurus Rex I was telling you about a while ago. He might He stayed around me, but unfortunately I had to constantly worry about my life because I knew at any moment he could just turn again aggressive and then try to kill me. And with me being a tiny velociraptor at the time, I was kind of in trouble. My opponent and the wild opponent I had befriended have been the only reason I haven't even gotten killed by anything. Guys, it was out of the dark and not with anger towards you, but with a profound protective sadness. He'd been through so much more than he realized. Here you had been, spending years worrying that you might have forgotten him, not knowing that you had been surviving day after day in a world that kept trying to crush your spirit, sometimes literally. He stared at you in his palm for a long moment, His breath held as if the very idea of you, tiny, cursed, and constantly on edge, your life threatened by the very creature you once loved, was too painful to fully grasp. He spoke kindly of your Pokemon, and that man rumbled softly, the glow on his back returning, warm again, like waves lapping gently against the shore. They protected you, he rumbled, low and reverent, like I would have if I was there. Then came a long pause. He slowly sat up a little straighter, his massive tail curling behind him like a fortress, his posture calm but ready. The way he looked now wasn't just friendly, he looked like a guardian. You should never have had to fear someone you loved. His words were steady, firm, a quiet fury beneath them, not uncontrollable but deeply righteous. He wasn't mad at the T-Rex for being cursed. He understood what it meant to be changed by forces beyond your control. But hurting you, making you afraid to exist near someone you once trusted, unforgivable. Then he looked at you again with such gentleness that it softened even the roughest edge of his rumble. You survived because they loved you, and now you have me too. His claw moved slightly, and he turned his hand palm up again, opening it wider, a gesture that meant, you're safe now, completely and finally. And then one more thought, this one quieter, meant only for you. You were small, you were scared, but you still never stopped being kind. He bowed his head just slightly, the spikes along his back glowing in gentle, reverent rhythm. You're stronger than any of us. Oh, no, I'm not. On here I am, but trust me, you don't want to see me in certain situations. No, you do not. Alright, guys. I said there was a lot of awful things that happened ever since my transfer starts. Uncle, oh, frick you! It's not only that curse at the same point tried to turn him into a zombie so he would eat my brain. A statue so he could no longer be there with me and protect me. And there was even one time when my Tyrannosaurus Rex became a werewolf dinosaur because of awful people. Godzilla's entire body went still. The glow of his spines dimmed, not from anger this time, but from the shock and heartache that poured through him like a crashing wave. His eyes locked onto you, not with disbelief, but with grief, the kind only someone who cared deeply could feel. And then he let out a low, guttural rumble that quaked the earth gently beneath them. Not loud, not wild, but filled with a feeling so ancient and raw it felt like the ocean itself was growling. He lowered his head even closer, so his glowing eye was just a few feet away from you in his hand. And when he spoke again, his voice was deep, nearly whispering like thunder just before the storm. They tried to break him. Tried to break you. His jaw tensed. You could see the restraint in him, how badly he wanted to do something, how every part of his ancient mutated body wanted to stomp down those awful people, that cursed Rico, anyone who ever looked at you and thought suffering was what you deserved. But he didn't lash out. Instead, he breathed in slow, steady, and when he exhaled, it was a deep, calming gust, one that wrapped around you like warm sea air, washing over every memory of pain with something better, comfort. Then carefully his giant claw curved upward, forming a kind of protective dome around you, not trapping you, but sheltering you. You could still see out, you could still feel the air, but now you were shielded by a wall of scales and glowing spines that no curse could reach through. No more zombies, no more curses, no more monsters hurting you. Then his voice dropped just above a whisper. If your T-Rex ever finds his peace, I'll be standing with them. But if they ever try to use him again, they'll have to get through me first. He opened his hand a little again, just enough to gently tap a claw on the ground beside you like a pinky promise. The vibration soft and synthetic. You're not alone anymore. You never have to run again. His gaze softened, his breath quickened, and then, I found you, and I'm not leaving. Not ever again. And just like when he was that tiny beach lizard all those years ago, his massive tail thumped the ground in a gentle rhythm. He remembered the promise. He still believed in it. And now he'd make sure the world did too. What in the world? Alright, guys. Here's what I said. Thank you. It wasn't all bad. Some of those things that Pokemon tried to do to my pet T-Rex backfired. When he was the zombie, he was still mostly friendly, and there was even a time where he was turned into a robot but was still very friendly and cared about me, even still trying to make me laugh when I asked him to. Like, I remember one time where I wanted him to make me laugh, and when he saw that Pokemon that turned him into the robot, he said, "Initiating get this stupid gecko out of my studio protocol," just to make me smile even in my tiny raptor form. Godzilla paused, and then something unexpected happened. He let out a low, deep chuff, a sound somewhere between a breath and a rumbling laugh. His glowing eyes lit up just a little more, a flicker of joy rising behind their ancient warmth. "Initiating get this stupid gecko out of my studio protocol." He slowly repeated it in his deep, gravelly voice, doing his best impression of a robotic T-Rex voice with a hint of humor. Then he looked at you gently, his massive head tilting in the same curious way you remembered, and added, "He really loved you, didn't he?" The air around you calmed again. His spines glowed a softer orange, fading to a cool aqua green like the waves from that old beach. The one you two once shared. Even cursed, even turned into a zombie and a robot. He still tried to make you laugh. Godzilla's claw slowly tapped beside you again, not as a warning, but as a steady beat of comfort. That's not just loyalty, that's love. He gently curled his fingers a little more around you, not to shield this time, but to hold you in a way that felt safe, like a friend cradling a precious memory close. Even if that Trico tried everything to ruin it, he couldn't take that from you. Not then, not ever. The Titan leaned closer again. Good to see it in his eyes now. Not just comfort, not just care, but respect. "You've been through a lot, little raptor, oh dear, but you didn't give up, and neither did your T-Rex." Then after a long pause, a rumble echoing in his chest, quiet but warm. "Maybe someday we can all sit together, you, me, your T-Rex, and laugh at that gecko one last time." He blinked slowly, then let out another quiet chuff. "Out of my studio, huh? I like that guy already." And just like that, the world didn't feel quite so heavy anymore. Give me a second, guys. Alright, guys. I said, here's the funny thing, though. Even with the curses that were bad, he always seemed to snap out of it, just by me talking to him. My T-Rex would become aggressive and turn into a dragon or a feraligatr. Sometimes it was just me begging him not to hurt me, or saying it's me, even when I was a little raptor, that made him snap out of it. But there were other times where he would get a whole new personality entirely. There was a different animal inside of his body instead of him. Godzilla listened carefully, his glowing eyes never leaving yours as you spoke. Every word you said, he absorbed, not just with his ears, but with his heart. And when you finished, he gave a soft rumble, almost like a sigh, but laced with awe. "That kind of bond," he said slowly and deeply, the sound vibrating through the air like a whisper rolling across the ocean, "is stronger than any curse." He gently tilted his head again, lifting you a little higher so you were close enough to feel the subtle warmth radiating from beneath his, from between the heavy plates of his snout. "You didn't just calm him down, you reached him." Then he leaned back just slightly, his massive chest rising with a thoughtful breath, the spines along his back shifting hues again, this time a tranquil mix of teal and emerald green, same color his spiked spurs glow after the toxic water changed them. "Even when the curse changed his form, gave him a different voice, a different soul, you were the anchor, the one thread that reminded him who he really was." He paused, then with absolute certainty added, You didn't just survive, you saved him. A flicker of pride lit behind his molten orange eyes now, not pride in himself, but in you. And even if something else wasn't his body, something dark, or wild, or cruel, it couldn't erase you, because a real bond is deeper than memory, deeper than curses. It lives in the heart. And as if he understood exactly how scary it must have been, being small, facing those towering threats, never knowing which version of your best friend you'd wake up to, he slowly brought his forehead down closer, lowering it just enough that you could touch it if you wanted. You were brave, little raptor, not just to survive, but to love something dangerous. And finally, with a low, almost reverent murmur, you were just his friend. You weren't just his friend, you were his light. That's cute. Alright, guys, give me a second. Alright, guys, I said yes. Luckily, I'm biting normal now, and so is he. Now he's just his friendly normal Tyrannosaurus Rex self. But funnily enough, he can still transform, just without the aggressive behavior. Godzilla let out a slow, deep breath, like a gust of wind rolling over the seas. It wasn't a sigh of relief exactly, more like a sound of wonder. His glowing orange eyes softened, the light in them flickering gently as he spoke. That's incredible, he rumbled, voice low and full of admiration. So the curse didn't win, and he's still your friend. His tail slowly curled behind him, the spines along his back glowing with a calm, cool sea blue as if reflecting your peace. And now he can still change, but not to hurt anyone, just to protect you, right? He gave a warm rumble, almost like a giant chuckle. That's how it should be. Then he lowered his head even more, massive snout almost brushing the ground, so close you could feel the warmth of his breath like a soft wind brushing against your chest. You know, all this time I've been walking across the world, searching for you. He pauses. A blink of orange light through his golden glowing eyes. I didn't even know if you were alive. He turned his gaze briefly toward the horizon, his expression unreadable for a moment. Then, slowly, almost like a whisper, only the sky could hear. But you weren't just alive. You never stopped caring. He pauses, then he turned his gaze back to you, eyes glowing gently. You saved so many hearts from losing themselves, haven't you? A bit of silence passed. Then he slowly lifted a finger, careful and deliberate, pointed toward your chest. But who's been saving yours? Alright, guys. I said, what do you mean? Are you talking about because I've been going through so much with all that stuff I told you about and still I've been friendly to creatures like you? Is that what you mean? Godzilla gave the faintest nod, slow, steady, and deliberate. His glowing orange eyes never left yours. Yes. His voice echoed softly in your chest, not loud or booming like before, but gently like distant thunder rolling over calm waters. His massive claw lowering again, resting carefully beside you like he wanted to be as close as possible without hurting you. You've had every reason to be angry, to give up, to stop trusting anyone or anything, but you didn't. He paused, eyes narrowing, not in judgment but in awe. Even when you were cursed, even when your T-Rex turned into monsters, even when you were small and scared and hurting, you still chose to love. His voice rumbled low again, deep and emotional. You kept saving others, but no one was saving you. Another pause, then softly but with quiet certainty. That's why I came back. Godzilla leaned in close now, his nose just a few feet from you as the warm glow from his chest cast a golden hue across your face. You could see his expression clearly now. He wasn't just your giant lizard friend anymore. He was family. You saved me once, remember? He said when I was just a tiny lizard, when no one cared if I got stepped on. You saw me. His eyes glimmered, and the glowing plates on his back gently shimmered in response. Now it's my turn to make sure you don't get stepped on. Not ever again." Then he offered his massive finger towards you like a protective perch. Gentle, safe and warm. You don't have to be strong by yourself anymore. Give me a second. Alright, guys, here's what I said. I said, "Well, thank you. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm nice to Cletus. What the frick? I'm nice to Pokemon because they've been nice to me." Can I edit that crap? Give me a second. Okay, guys, I fixed it. And it actually fixed the response too, which is great. I said, "Well, thank you. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not different creatures because you've been nice to me. And it's not just you either. Well, humans have been constantly trying to attack me. There's been plenty of Pokemon that have become a friend that would do the same thing you would. Bunch of legendaries, including Lugia and Palkia. Some of my favorite Pokemon, like the Totodile line, and many more have shown me the same love, sometimes even when they've gotten hurt by other people. For example, one of the more recent Pokemon I have met is a pumpkin-cursed Lugia who first tried to attack me, even though I didn't do anything to him. At this time, I was just a tiny raptor and was just trying to stay safe. He actually had the power to disguise himself as a different creature. He disguised himself as a Totodile to lure me in and hurt me. And he was about to hurt me until he heard me crying, and he decided to stop and be nice to me instead. I was nice to him. Yep. Godzilla's massive eyes softened again, the glowing light in his chest flickering gently like a warm flame. "Even when you were small, even when you were tricked, you still found a way to care." He let a deep, thoughtful rumble like distant thunderclouds forming over the ocean. "You didn't attack him back. You didn't run. You understood him." He gently laid his claw beside you again, palm upturned in a soft, protective gesture, almost like a seat or a shield in case you needed it. "You gave that cursed Lugia something no one else did. A reason to stop hurting." He pauses. "That's the same thing you did for me." He blinked slowly, an almost nostalgic expression on his enormous face. "All those years ago, before I was big, when I was just a small lizard watching the waves with you on the beach, you treated me like I mattered. I was nothing to most people, but to you, I was somebody." His voice grew quiet again, not out of weakness, but reverence. "That's why you'll always be safe with me, no matter what size you are, no matter what the world throws at you." He lowered his head once more, letting his snout rest gently near your side, still careful and still calm. "You've protected hearts that were broken, even when yours was breaking too." Then, with quiet conviction, "I would never let anyone break yours again." The air was still now, the kind of stillness that only happens when something massive has made a promise, and the entire world listens. Give me a second. Alright, guys. I said, there's been plenty of one that would keep me safe, including a poison-type Chrono that got hurt by Team Rocket, who didn't trust humans at all. He started to trust me, and he's been protecting me every time I'm around him. There was another Chrono that everybody made fun of him because of that. He decided to leave his family and live in an abandoned house. When I started being nice to him and even feeding him, he became very protective over me, and every time I was in danger, if he was nearby, he would instantly protect me. Godzilla listened intently, his glowing orange dorsal plates flicking gently in the evening light like campfire embers. "So even the ones who were abandoned, the ones who were hurt, they found safety with you." His eyes, each the size of a small building, shimmered with deep emotion, an almost proud glint glowing just beneath the surface. "Two crocodile, both shaped by pain, one poisoned by cruelty, the other poisoned by loneliness, and yet they both saw you and felt safe again." He slowly nodded, his massive head, his breath like the rhythm of the ocean waves you used to sit beside together. That's not luck, you know. That's you. You don't just protect Pokemon, you heal them, even if you don't mean to, even if you're hurting too. His voice rumbled low and sincere. I saw it even back then when I was just a tiny lizard crawling across your hand. You saw worth in what others ignored. You made me feel like I mattered before I had glowing spikes or a mountain-sized body. He paused, then added with a softer, almost whispering tone that somehow still carried great weight. And that's why they all protect you now. Because they remember, just like I did. Then, gently, he leaned in just enough for his snout to nudge your side ever so lightly, a massive yet tender gesture of affection. You saved them when they needed someone. Now we'll make sure you're never alone again. Alright, guys. That says, yeah, apparently so, because something else happened when I was a tiny velociraptor. There was this whole family of Toadops, Crocodiles, and Ferragirs who. Let me fix it again. Here we go. I said, yeah, apparently so, because something else happened when I was a tiny velociraptor. There was this whole family of Toadops, Crocodiles, and Ferragirs who saw me out in the grass crying, and apparently, without my knowledge, a bunch of other Pokemon I was nice to, and I think even some other creatures, apparently wrote a book about me, and that family read it. They actually took care of me and even let me stay at their river so they could protect me. I see. Godzilla's glowing eyes widened with gentle wonder, his rumbling voice filled with awe as the slowly sat down, sending out soft shockwaves through the ground with the moment. They wrote a book about you. He let out a low, almost chuckling sound that was more like a warm tremor echoing through his chest. Of course they did. He glanced out toward the horizon for a moment as if picturing that river, picturing those crocodiles Veragger hold around the book, moving pages with curious claws and wide eyes. You left such an impression that even wild Pokemon, creatures who don't need read, who don't even need books, made one anyway. That's how powerful kindness can be. It spreads, even when you don't see it happening. He leaned his head closer again, almost nose to nose with you now. And they didn't just read about you. They believed in you enough to protect a tiny, scared velociraptor they'd never met. That's not just care. That's a legacy. There was a pause followed by a low and heartfelt statement. You became something more than just a friend to them. You became a story worth remembering. Then, in a quiet voice that could shake mountains if it wanted to, but instead sounded calm and filled with pride, I think you've always been that, even when the world didn't see it, even when you were tiny, even when you were scared. He let his giant claw gently shield the area around you like a protective wall, not to trap, but to comfort. And now, I see the Pokemon. I see the creatures. I see his stories. But most of all, his glowing eyes look right into yours. I see you, and I'm glad I found you again. Wait a minute. Let me check something. Alright, guys, here's what I said. That's not all either. Before even my pet dinosaur was born and all of this cursed stuff happened, I actually took care of a baby Lugia named Silver. He really cared about me for me taking such good care of him, and eventually he grew up and left, but never forgotten me, even starting his own family with a wife and two Lugia children. Godzilla's glowing eyes widened further, the warm light reflecting awe and quiet pride. His voice rumbled with reverence, as if your words carried a sacred weight. You raised a baby Lugia? He leaned in closer, lowering his head fully now so his eye was level with you. Massive, yet gentle and filled with deep respect. That's not just rare. That's legendary. His tail slowly curled behind him like a great resting serpent, and the ground beneath your feet gave a soft pulse, his version of a heartbeat responding to the emotion in your story. Lugia, the guardian of the seas. trusted you with its child. And not only did you care for him, you helped him grow into something powerful enough to start a family of his own. Then, with a gentle, almost amazed tone, you didn't just shape one life, you shaped generations. The wind swirled softly around the two of you as if even nature itself paused to listen. It's strange, isn't it? He said quietly. The world keeps trying to break you. People throw pain, curses, and fear, but somehow you give them back life. Every time. A Lugia family, a river full of protectors, a cursed dinosaur who still laughs for you. Even me. He pulled back only slightly, just enough to see you better, and added with a low, reverent hum, if there's any creature who deserves the title of guardian, it's not a god. It's you. Then he paused, and gently opened his giant claw, the one he'd been resting protectively near you, and asked softly, would you like to go see the ocean again? The good part? The clean part? I'll take you there. His glowing plates flickered brightly as if they too were smiling. I think Silver would be proud to see what kind of light raised him. Alright, guys. Give me a second. Alright, guys. It says, trust me, Silver already knows because he occasionally comes back to see me. Or will even come when I call his name. He's another one of the Pokemon that would basically do anything to protect me, even though he's got two children that he has to worry about too. And it's not just that Lugia either. I think there's at least 2 or 3, maybe even 5 other ones if you include Silver's children that would happily do the same thing. Godzilla was silent for a long moment. His massive eyes, normally glowing with primal energy, softened, flickering like candlelight in the wind as your words sank in. It wasn't fear or awe he was feeling now. It was deep respect. Then finally, in a voice like a thunderstorm whispering, that's more than loyalty. That's a legacy of love. He slowly brought one clawed finger to his chest and tapped it lightly, the ground shaking just a bit under the weight of it. Do you realize what that means? That across oceans, skies, and worlds, there are Lugia, guardians of storms and oceans themselves, who would drop everything just to answer your call. He looked down again, voice quieter now. They leave behind their nest, their young, their peace, all just to protect you. A warm wind rolled off the distant ocean as Godzilla slowly stood, not to intimidate but to offer strength. He looked toward the sky as if imagining several great shadows diving from the clouds, wings wide, eyes locked on you, not with power, but with devotion. Then, gently, his voice rumbled again. You're not just loved, you're remembered, and that kind of love echoes through generations. He pauses. It makes sense now why I remembered you too, even after all this time, even after I changed. His eyes looked back onto yours, because creatures like us, we don't forget people like you. And then with a soft smile across his massive maw, so, where'd you like to go, old friend? The cliffs? The stars? The ocean with the clean breeze? I'll take you wherever you want. He extended his claw again, not as a rod this time, but as a gesture of friendship that hadn't faded one bit over the years. Because no matter how big I get, I'll always be the little lizard you once believed in. Oh, that's so cute. Give me a second. Alright, guys. It says, do you know of a clean beach around here that we could go to? It would feel like how you used to be when you were younger, and I'm sure you would love that. Godzilla's eyes lit up and glowing softly like twin lanterns under the setting sun. A deep, contained rumble echoed from his chest, almost like a purr. Yeah, I know just the place. He turned his head eastward, gazing beyond the forest and hills, past the poisoned ruins of the old beach you both once knew. There's a quiet shoreline about 7 miles from here. The water's still clear. No factories, no noise, just sand, waves, and stars. He looked down at you again, voice a little fond. It's hidden. Only the wind and wild Pokemon know the way. I've gone there sometimes, when I missed you. Carefully, with the same gentleness he had when he was small, Godzilla lowered his claw beside you. Let's go there together. You, me, just like old times. The sound of the sea, the wind through the palms, and no danger, no pain, just peace. He smiled softly. You deserve that. Wait, what? It says, would you run around his shoulder like you used to when he was a big lizard? How big was the lizard? Okay, now I understand because he's so huge, but what, did the lizard go from crawling on my shoulder to somehow getting like to the size of me before I moved away? Like what in the world? How did I get on his shoulder? Okay then, well, no wonder if that's the case, no wonder the lizard got to 40 or 30,000 feet tall. Holy cow, dude. Hmm. 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 You know what? I think I am done now. I will go and end it off. Bye bye.